All right.
All right, I'm Joey. That's Coop pushing the buttons. Um, you know, we were chatting, and you're really into the cryptid thing. And I think, well, tonight's going to be kind of a short video. I don't know if you've ever heard, and this is going to tie into the cryptids, the Bigfoot, whatever, all that stuff, because there is a series of documentaries out there. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're called Missing 411. Have you ever
I
heard of them?
haven't heard of them.
Okay, and it has to do with people, children, people just come up missing in our national parks. I mean, there's more to it than that. And I've only watched one of those documentaries, maybe two of them. I never sat down and watched them because I think there's like two or three of them, and they kind of tie. You have like a hunter who's a hunter or like a outdoors guy comes up missing. You'll have a child. Parents will turn around and the child is literally gone.
I have
And
heard about that.
yeah, and or they'll find a child miles away. You know, there was one story. It took place. I don't know. I want to say in the early 1900s, late 1800s, I believe, and it was a child. A child was, I think, was taken and then brought back, or came back. Something along the lines of came back or brought back, and the child was talking about like this big, tall. I want to say furry guy. I'm not for sure. Um, and I'm curious. I wonder if people come up missing and things like that, if it's either a dimensional thing, in these state parks, or if these people are being taken. Like they'll find people gone, and then they'll find like bleached bones and like clothing and stuff, and they went, you know what I mean, and they're not gone for, they'll find the stuff shortly after. Sometimes they're found just wandering around. I'm kind of curious as if that has to do with some kind of cryptid, some kind of Bigfoot, some kind of something, who knows, creature running around, creatures for that matter,
I
running
think
around.
it does because a lot of videos I watch, they talk about people going missing and just being found way further than they should.
Yeah, you
And
know,
it always seems to come up in national parks or around
yeah,
them.
yeah. And there's people that are tying together, well, some people tying together, like UFO slash Bigfoot, you know what I mean? Something like that. I'm beginning to wonder. I mean, there's parts of this country alone that we don't have people that has been barely, if ever, um, you know, explored, you could say, or traveling on it. Like I'm paranoid. After I have gone, Missy and I, what years and years and years ago, when we first got together, we went and we were at Lincoln State Park over there in southern Indiana, and we were walking through there. It was a Sunday, and I'm gonna tell you something. I felt like something was there. I did, not a joke, and I started getting a little paranoid. And you're looking, there's nothing there, but I felt like something was there. I'm not saying there was. I'm not. I'm just telling you, it was a Sunday. There was because it was the cold weather. I want to say it was around December. It might not have been. Now I can't remember. Now. It was so many years, a few years ago. But we were walking through there, and I'm telling you, it felt like there was something there. Where have you been walking around there? You've been to the fire, what do you call it? The
The
fire
fire
thing?
tower, yeah.
Fire, the tower? Yeah, it wasn't there, but we walked there, went up, it came down, we were leaving, and that's when I felt it. I was ready. I started picking up my pace to get out of there. I wonder if people have gone missing from there, from that state park. There's no telling, you know.
Yeah.
But
I
I'm
mean,
telling,
if they have, it's never been reported.
right. I'm telling you, Coop, you need to check out the missing 411s. I mean, it might get boring because I mean, I'm going to tell you this. There's so many documentaries out there, you know, for stuff like cryptids and you like I have a sickness, which eventually we will do. I want to do a long discussion on Apollo 20. And they come out, there's hardly ever any talk about it. Okay. And then they debunk it, maybe, you know, it's not being completely honest about when people are debunking things. And like I told you, I watched this interview, or actually, I was listening to this interview with this Italian guy. It was hard to follow because his accent was so thick, but he's sticking to that story. And it wasn't even him; it was something Rutledge. Now I don't know. I can't think of it a second, but you know, it has to do with the moon. There, and I can't really go into the whole thing, but I wonder if all these things, like there's like a whole other part of life, you know, things going on that we don't know about. You know, we go to work, you know, do whatever. But I feel like there needs to be a channel because, like, the missing 411s, you got to pay for them. And I get it. You know, you got to pay for it. These people put their money into it, or they'll get some kind of funding and everybody wants to make money. But who can afford to watch all these? There's just tons of documentaries about Dogman and that type of thing, that, you know, the Jersey Devil and stuff like that that like you're interested in. And there's stuff that I'm interested in. There needs to be some kind of streaming service that has that type of stuff, even if it's crazy far-fetched. You know what I mean? There needs to be a channel that has those type of documentaries on it.
Even if you don't believe in it,
Yeah,
it's still fun to listen to.
yeah, it's fun to watch, you know, and I wish there was, because, you know, you can watch some of the missing four. They're interesting. Sometimes you'll catch one on YouTube, you know, and sometimes you'll catch one on like Amazon or whatever. But there needs to be a streaming service from everything from UFOs to the octopus conspiracy, how, you know, going all the way back to the, not, you know, the whole Operation Paperclip, which that is true. But, you know, Nazi scientists embedded deep into our NASA program. That's true. You know, Werner von Braun. Well, anyways, there needs to be there, and there probably is even if some of them are far-fetched, maybe there's some facts in it, but there needs to be a streaming service that is strictly, you know, strictly documentary, like conspiracy documentaries. Everything from cryptids to UFOs to government stuff to the moon. You know, I'm really interested in the moon and stuff like that. And there is a documentary called Beyond Majestic, and I was watching this, and it was on YouTube. I don't think it's supposed to be free, but it was on YouTube. I watched it for free. I remember hearing about it. And there was a clip of, you know, the moon landing, and like they said something was said and then cut off to the effect of that something was seen, like structures were seen. And I saw the footage of the guy who was doing the whole when we landed on the moon. You know, then there's people that believe we didn't do that, you know. And I'm interested in hearing that whole side of the story. You know, yeah. Buzz Aldrin. Did you hear about that? What? No, probably not. It was in the early I don't know. It was in the mid 2000s. Buzz Aldrin was in Antarctica. Okay, and he saw something, and he had some kind of Twitter breakdown. He come out and said, you know, evil or some, you know what I'm saying, and then it got shut down. I'm interested in what he saw up in it, or down, I should say, in Antarctica.
Yeah.
So the point is this: I think that's another thing we should probably talk about. Maybe people would be interested in. Is that, I mean, I listened to. Did you ever look up that channel, What Lurks Beneath?
I've not got to that yet. No.
There is one, and I'll break it down real quick. What time is it? I'll break it down real quick. This guy was telling this story about, he was a kid. This is in I want to say it was in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. I'm not sure what city it was, but they were running, these kids, four boys. They were running around at this old steel mill. I want to say. I wish I could. And it's on YouTube. That's where I heard this, and it struck me. And he's talking. He goes through the story how they were up there running around and they saw something. To me, the way it was sounding was like a werewolf. Okay. Now, I don't know. Whatever he saw, he was quite convincing. It scared the hell out of him and his three buddies. And it came at they saw it chasing like animals, like I want to say wild dogs or something. And they were in this abandoned building looking out, and it was an open. It's kind of like a dilapidated building that's fallen apart, and it saw them and it ran up the. It was terrifying. But I can tell you this: you should check out that channel. And there's also the confessionals. It's Merkel Media, I think it's called. Merkel Media puts it out, and it's on YouTube as well, and it's also on Spotify. Some of his stuff, like there was one I didn't listen to it, but it was what was it? Hollywood seances or something like that, because there is a belief, and I can almost believe it, that there is some dark energy, dark occultism going on in Hollywood. But anyway, I think you'd be interested in that too, especially the confessionals, because that's what he really majorly taught. That's his wheelhouse, really, is cryptids and stuff like that. And he talks about doing these, him and his friends going and doing these searches or whatever. But there again, he spends his money putting these films to get, these documentaries, and it costs money to do all that. And if you want to watch it, you got to pay for it. And, I don't have tons of money to get all these different, documentaries and stuff.
Right.
I wish I had the money to start a channel that, start a bit, some kind of streaming service that you pay every month, and all these documentaries. I mean, because believe it or not, there's a lot of people interested in that. There's tons of people that are interested in conspiracies, all different kinds, not certain, all kinds. There's just all kinds of stuff. And I believe this. What do you think? Don't you think a streaming service would be,
Oh, I think it'll definitely make money.
Yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy kind of guy, but even if you don't believe in it, it's very interesting to hear about.
Yeah, it is. And just like I'm not into the cryptids that much, but I hear when you're hearing somebody and you're seeing them talk about their experience, and you see it. I'm sure some of them are just ridiculous, but sometimes they are. It has you could tell, like, these people that have lasting effects. It has, witnessing something like that, especially that one guy when he was a teenager, talking about. I mean, it's a story. It is something else listening to that, but you need to check it out. And on the last note, the whole Apollo 20, the reason it sticks in my head, and I don't know, I just can't not try to find. Every once in a while, if I got a spare time, I try to look stuff up about it. William Rutledge is the name of this guy. I'm not saying that it's true. What the thing that keeps tugging at me is when there's a conspiracy theory or like something like that, it's everywhere. Just like people don't believe, still to this day, there's people that don't believe he landed on the moon. Okay. There's a guy who's dedicated his life to debunking that. You can read his books, and he's been on some shows and podcasts. The whole Bigfoot thing, some people believe in it, some don't. It's everywhere. All the Loch Ness Monster, all of it, But this Apollo 20, it gets, I guess I didn't even hear it. It was pure act. I've never heard of this until I want to say like middle or late last year. For some reason, it just popped up in my feed. And it grabbed my attention. And then there's the Y-Files on YouTube. he didn't. I mean, he debunked it maybe, but I feel that there's a whole other there's like that the one interview that this Italian guy gave that I tried to listen to talking about it, it's hard to you know I am Italian. I couldn't understand what he was saying. His accent was so thick. Um, but you know, but there again, that was in the early 2000s. It was uploaded, and then everything it's gone. You'll see videos. You know what I mean? It's like conspiracy theories; they never go away. There's people that make money off of. You know what I mean? Even if it's just a grift. But the Apollo 20 thing, I have never heard of ever until last year. And you know I'm into everything from the moon landing, is it real or not, to aliens, to the occult, to the government, to, JFK, all of it, 9/11. I'd never ever heard of Apollo 20 and the Rutledge. And it was supposedly I sent you a couple of those videos. And the
Yeah,
reason
I did watch them.
yeah, and I'm sure you were bored to death. But
I was.
Yeah, the reason I can't get rid of it out of my head is because there's nobody I should say grifting on that. There's nobody going to any of these UFO shows talking about it. There's no books about it. There's nothing. It's like the guy this Rutledge guy put up even this John T. Have you ever heard of John Teeter? Apparently in the early, very, I think it was the late 90s, early 2000s, this guy claimed to be a time traveler from who knows when, and he came back in time because he needed a computer and whatever. There's a part, I don't know. It's a whole thing. Even that, John Teeter, even though it's been debunked supposedly, who knows? But that has some kind of play. I have never heard of Apollo 20, and it just bugs me that there's nobody trying to grift on it. You know what I mean? There's nobody talking about it at all. Nobody. There's nobody trying to make money. There's no, little books. You know what I mean? There's nobody going on conspiracy talk shows and talking nothing. It's like it didn't even happen.
Well,
right?
there's lots of conspiracies and I've never heard about. So
yeah, but you're not into it that much. And considering that I am, and I've never heard of the Apollo 20, it just to me, where there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm not saying that the whole story is true, but I'm wondering if something did happen. I don't know what maybe we've been going up to the moon. Who knows? Why did we suddenly stop going to the moon? Because we lost interest? No, we didn't. Because we're still spending millions. You remember, in the 80s, they were doing the shuttle, Columbia, and all those. So I'm just curious as why we never went back. I think that's another reason with this Apollo 20. It's we never went back to the moon. We never tried to colonize the moon. You know what I mean? We never tried to do anything. We went up there. I want to say they set up or I think they crashed something into it and it rang like a bell. There's conspiracy theories about on the others like cities up there or like not like old cities and stuff like that. I mean, the moon is quite interesting, and we just suddenly stopped going there. We're sending stuff to Mars. We're sending stuff to way out in space. But we're not doing anything with the moon when it's right there. Come on, man. I think that's the main reason why I just can't let this Apollo 20 go.
well, maybe I'll look a little more into it. We can have a real conversation.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Hey,
right now I can't say much about it because I don't know anything about it.
there's really nothing, but you have got to check out the confessionals. I think you like that stuff, the bog monster and all that stuff. You'll dig it, man. I mean, I'm not into that as much, but when I listen to it, it holds my attention. I'll sit there and listen to the whole thing because when it's just hearing people talk about their experience, it's really it grabs my attention, especially when these people are talking about it and it really affects them. That's what gets my attention. But anyway, so I got to cut this one short. It's Tuesday. Um,
Yeah.
but
And I still haven't ate yet, so
Oh yeah.
I need to eat.
Yeah, me and my dude have already eaten. So, um, yeah, we'll start getting into a swing of things. My nephew listened to our last one. I don't care. We'll go ahead and record, but he listened to it. He liked, we do got to start uploading more, coming up with stuff. So anyway, I guess we're out of here. Like, subscribe, all 5 of you who are watching these. I guess we're out of here.
All right. Till
Later.
Friday.